Hey, it's John from FinancialMD with today's Didactic Minute. We're continuing in our series on retirement, and today I want to ask the question, which a lot of people ask, how much is enough for retirement? Or another way of asking is, how much do you need to have saved for retirement? And I'll give the typical lawyer answer, well, that depends. When you're thinking about retirement, the question, as we kind of discussed in the last video of what is retirement, you have to ask yourself the question of, first, yes, obviously, what is retirement? Which leads to another question of what's important to you. Because that's going to determine what retirement looks like to you and therefore determines how much you need to have saved. But more specifically, when you're asking the question, how much do you need to have saved for retirement, you have to look at different things like, do you have any pension? Pension is basically a guaranteed monthly income that a company often provides their employees. Now I say often meaning used to provide. These days it's very rare to find companies that are still providing pensions. Typically these companies are the big old, grandfather companies where your grandpa worked and he worked there for 35 years and they took care of him, and part of that taking care of him included a pension. Case in point, my grandpa died at 102, maybe 103. But when he died, he had officially been retired longer than he worked. And he worked all his life for Ford Motor Company. Ford gave him a pension and health care all throughout retirement. So he really got the good end of the deal on that one. So they paid for 40 plus years of retirement, and he never had to worry about anything financially. That's a lot of the reason that companies aren't doing pensions anymore, because it's just too darn expensive, because as most of you probably know with Social Security, it's too expensive and it's not sustainable. And so these days, your only option for employer-sponsored types of retirement plans are 401k, where you can put money in, and sometimes the employer will put money in too in a match. So how much do you need to save on a monthly basis or an annual basis? And ultimately, how much do you need to have saved in a lump sum before you can say, yeah, I've saved enough for retirement? So again, that depends how much you want to have coming in every year for retirement. That includes a pension in there. So if you've got a pension, that's less you've got to save in your 401k and your IRAs. Social Security is another factor, and I won't necessarily dive too deeply into this controversy. Some people believe it won't be around very long. I can tell you it will probably be reduced by the time you and I get to retirement. And Social Security has been honest about that they're currently underfunded and to plan on about 75% of what they quote you. But if you're just simply saving, and we're shooting for about an 8% average rate of return each year in your 401k, most people should be saving between 15 and 20%, again, depending on what your goals are. But you can usually estimate a safe withdrawal rate in retirement of 4 to 5% a year. Okay, so look at it this way. If you have $1 million saved up and you figured with your financial advisor you can pull out 5% every year without going broke in retirement, then you can live off of $50,000 a year. So do the math backwards. If you need twice that, if you need $100,000 a year, that would be 5% of what? $2 million. Okay. Now keep in mind that's in today's dollars. If we factor in inflation of 3 to 4% every year to be safe, 20, 30 years from now, whenever you guys are retiring, you're going to need much more than that. So this is not a super positive video because it's a lot of money. You guys have to save a lot of money, but you will. Most of the physicians that we work with, by far, I'm going to say 90 to 95%, are on track for their retirement goals within 1 to 3 years of going into practice. Now, if you're one of our residents, obviously that's not a consideration yet. But you're usually able to do 3 things. You're usually able to have a pretty decent lifestyle, save a decent amount towards retirement, and pay off a decent amount towards your student loans. All 3 of those things within 1 to 3 years of going into practice, and that's what we help with. So again, this is John from FinancialMD with today's Didactic Minute, and we'll see you next time.